I am Reed, I am 27, just an average. Dude, I've made tons of money mistakes in my 20s, and now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. Alright, so let me start with something real. I used to think I was productive. I would sit at my desk for like 8 hours straight, feel exhausted at the end of the day, and think, wow, I really got stuff done today. But when I actually looked back at what I accomplished, it was basically nothing. I answered some emails, scrolled through social media, maybe watched a couple YouTube videos, told myself it was research, and then by 5 p.m. I felt burnt out and confused about where my day went. Sound familiar? Here's the thing. I think a lot of us in our 20s fall into this trap where we confuse being busy with being productive. They are not the same thing, not even close. I learned this the hard way when I was in my early 20s working a job. I hated spending money I didn't have and feeling like I was running in place every single day. I was always tired, always stressed, but never actually moving forward. It took me getting into debt and feeling completely lost to realize that something had to change. So over the last few years, I've been figuring out what actually works when it comes to getting stuff done. And I want to share that with you today because I think it's one of the most important skills you can learn, especially in your 20s. If you can get good at being productive, you can make more money, you can build a business, you can get out of debt, you can actually start building the life you want instead of just waiting for it to happen. The first thing I want to talk about is something I call death by 1,000 cuts. This is probably the single biggest reason why most people can't get anything done. Think about your typical day. You wake up and right away there are a million little things pulling at your attention. You got to walk the dog. You got to empty the dishwasher. You got to take out the trash. You got to call your accountant about some random tax thing. You got to pay your water bill. You got to reply to that email from your boss. You got to check your phone because you got like 50 notifications overnight, and before you know it, the morning is gone and you haven't even touched the one big thing you actually needed to do. I used to live like this every single day. I would have this long list of small tasks and I would bounce around from one to the next feeling like I was getting stuff done, but really I was just avoiding the hard stuff. And then at the end of the day, I would feel guilty and stressed because the important work was still sitting there waiting for me. So I'd push it to the next day and then the same thing would happen. Again, it's a vicious cycle and it will keep you stuck forever if you don't break out of it. So how do you fix it? The answer is actually pretty simple, but it's not easy. You have to start saying no to things, and I mean really saying no. One of the biggest changes I made was making it hard for people to contact me. I know that sounds crazy, especially in 2025 when everyone expects you to be available 24/7, but hear me out. If you actually want to get deep work done, you cannot have your phone buzzing every 5 minutes. You cannot have people texting you, calling you, emailing you, and pulling you in 10 different directions all day long. I stopped giving out my phone number to people. I know that sounds extreme, but think about it. Every time someone can reach you directly, they can interrupt your focus, and focus is fragile. It takes like 20 minutes to get into a deep flow state, and it only takes one notification to completely destroy it. So now when I need to work, I put my phone on airplane mode or I leave it in another room completely. I tell people I will respond to emails and texts at certain times of the day, not the second they send them. And you know what? Nothing bad has happened. The world didn't end. People figured it out, and I started getting way more done. The second thing that changed everything for me is this little plastic egg timer. I know it sounds ridiculous, like something your grandma would use, but I swear to you, this thing works better than any productivity app I've ever tried. Here's what I do. I set the timer for 55 minutes during those 55 minutes. I am locked in. I am working on one task. I don't check my phone. I don't get up to get a snack. I don't switch tabs to look at something random. I just work. And when the timer goes off, I take a 15-minute break, I get up, stretch, eat something, walk around, whatever. Then I set the timer again for another 55 minutes. The reason this works is because it creates a sense of urgency. When you know you only have 55 minutes to get something done, you stop messing around, you stop checking social media, you stop overthinking, you just do the work. And the break gives your brain time to reset so you can go again without burning out. I used to try to work for like 4 or 5 hours straight, and by hour 2, I was completely fried and my work quality went way down. Now I work in these focus blocks and I get more done in 3 hours than I used to get done in an entire day. I want to pause here because I know some of you are probably thinking, okay, this sounds great, but I have a job where people need me to be available. Or I have kids and I can't just ignore everyone for an hour. I get it. I really do. Not everyone has the same situation, but I think most of us can find at least 1 or 2 blocks of time during the day where we can really focus. Maybe it's early in the morning before anyone else is up. Maybe it's during your lunch break. Maybe it's after the kids go to bed. The key is to find those windows and protect them like your future. Depends on it, because honestly, it kind of does. The third thing is something called Eat the Frog. I have no idea who came up with this name. It's probably the dumbest term ever, but the concept is actually really powerful. Basically, you look at your to-do list and you find the task that is the most difficult, the most annoying, the one you really don't want to do. And you do that one first. First thing in the morning, before you check your email, before you scroll social media, before you do anything else. Here's why this matters. Most of us subconsciously pick the easiest task on our list. First, we have 5 things to do, and we start with the quickest, easiest one because it feels good to check something off. Then we do the second easiest one, then the third. And by the time we get to the hardest, most important task, it's the end of the day and we are out of energy and we push it to tomorrow. Then tomorrow the same thing happens again. And that one hard thing just keeps sitting there haunting you day after day. I used to do this all the time, especially with things related to my finances. I would put off making a budget or looking at my credit card statements or filing my taxes because those things felt overwhelming and stressful. So I'd clean my apartment instead, or organize my desk, or do any other small task that made me feel productive without actually addressing the real problem. And the anxiety of not doing those important things just built up over time and made everything worse. So now I flip it around. When I wake up in the morning, I ask myself, what is the one thing I really don't want to do today? And then I do that thing first. No hesitation, no negotiation, just bite the bullet and get it over with. And you know what happens? The rest of the day feels easy by comparison. You have this huge weight lifted off your shoulders, and you feel like a beast because you already conquered the hardest thing before most people have even had their coffee. Number 4 is something that changed my entire schedule and honestly my whole life. Batch your meetings into 1 or 2 days per week. I know not everyone has control over their meeting schedule, but if you do, this is a game changer. When I first started working on my own projects and building things, my calendar was a complete disaster. I had meetings scattered all over the week, a meeting at 10 a.m. on Monday, another one at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, a quick call on Wednesday morning, a Zoom thing on Thursday afternoon, and in between all these meetings, I had these weird gaps of time that were too short to do any real deep work, but too long to just sit around. My calendar looked like a checkerboard, and it was killing my productivity. Every time I had a meeting, it broke my focus. I would finish the meeting and then spend 20 minutes trying to get back into the zone. Then an hour later, another meeting would pull me out again. By the end of the week, I felt busy, but I hadn't actually accomplished anything meaningful. So I made a rule: all meetings go on Tuesdays. If something urgent comes up, maybe I add a couple on Thursdays, but Monday, Wednesday, and Friday are completely meeting free. No calls, no Zooms, no nothing. Those days are for deep work, for writing, for creating, for doing the actual stuff that moves the needle. And let me tell you, it was uncomfortable at first. People were like, what do you mean you can't meet on Wednesday? But I stuck with it, and now I would never go back. Having those uninterrupted blocks of time is one of the best things I have ever done for my productivity and my sanity. Now, I want to talk about the actual tools I use. And this part is going to be really simple because I believe in keeping things minimal. The first tool I use is pen and paper. Just a regular old notebook. Every morning I write down 3 primary tasks for the day and 3 secondary tasks. That's it. Not 17 things, not a massive to-do list. That makes me anxious just looking at it: 3 primary and 3 secondary. The primary tasks are the most important things I need to get done that day. These are usually the hard things, the frog tasks, the stuff that will actually move me forward. The secondary tasks are the smaller things that need to get done eventually, but aren't as urgent. Things like replying to emails, paying a bill, organizing my files. If I finish my 3 primary tasks, I can move on to the secondary ones. If I don't beat myself up because I know I did the most important stuff. Keeping it to just 3 primary tasks is crucial. When you have too many things on your list, you get overwhelmed and you end up doing nothing. It's like having too many tabs open on your browser. Your brain just freezes. 3 tasks is manageable. 3 tasks is clear. 3 tasks gives you direction without pressure. The second tool I use is Notion. And look, nobody is sponsoring this. I just genuinely use it and it works for me. I think of Notion as like a second brain because honestly, my regular brain gets full. I have all these ideas floating around: goals I want to hit, projects I want to start, lessons I want to remember, and I can't keep them all in my head. So I dump them into Notion. I use it for Kanban boards to track my projects. For example, for this channel, I have a board with columns like idea, notes, outline, ready to film, and done. I drag videos through each stage as they move along. It's the same system that Toyota uses for their car production lines, and it's super effective. It's simple, visual, and it keeps me from forgetting things or dropping the ball. I also use it to store random thoughts and ideas that come to me at weird times. Like, I'll be driving or taking a shower and I'll think of something useful, and if I don't write it down immediately, it's gone forever. So I have a section in Notion where I just dump those thoughts and organize them later. It's like clearing the cache on your brain so you can focus on what matters right now without worrying about forgetting something important. The last thing I want to leave you with is this: leave buffer time in your schedule. Do not plan every single minute of your day. I know some productivity gurus will tell you to schedule everything down to the 15-minute block, and I think that's a recipe for burnout and frustration. Life happens, things come up, your internet goes down, you get a flat tire, your friend calls with an emergency, you wake up feeling sick. If your schedule is packed too tight, one small hiccup throws off your entire day and then you feel like a failure. So I leave gaps in my calendar, maybe 30 minutes here, an hour there. Nothing specific planned, just time to absorb the unexpected. And if nothing unexpected happens, I use that time to rest or work on something low priority or just breathe. It's amazing how much less stressed I feel when I give myself permission to have unscheduled time. And here's the thing I want you to understand about why I care so much about productivity. It's not because I want to work more, it's actually the opposite. I want to work less. I want to get my work done efficiently so I can have more time to do nothing. More time to hang out with friends, more time to read. More time to just sit on the couch and not feel guilty about it. When you are productive during the week, you earn the right to relax on the weekend without that nagging voice in your head telling you that you should be working. When I was in my early 20s, I had none of this figured out. I was a mess, I was broke, I was distracted, I was constantly stressed about money and time and feeling like I was falling behind, but I started making small changes, one at a time. I started guarding my attention. I started using that stupid little egg timer. I started eating the frog. I started batching my meetings. I started using pen and paper and a simple digital system to organize my thoughts. And slowly things started to change. I got out of debt. I started building savings, I got better at my job, I started creating things that mattered to me. My stress went down and my confidence went up, not because I was working harder, but because I was working smarter, because I stopped filling my days with noise and started focusing on what actually moved the needle. So if you are in your 20s and you feel like you are spinning your wheels, please know that it doesn't have to be that way. You don't need a fancy system, you don't need to wake up at 4 a.m. and take cold showers and meditate for an hour. You just need to cut out the distractions. Focus on the hard stuff first, give yourself time to actually think and create and keep it simple. So simple that you actually stick with it. Alright, I think that's enough from me today. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have your own productivity tips that work for you, drop them in the comments because I'm always looking to learn new things too. And hey, take care of yourself. Focus on what's important. And remember, you have your whole life ahead of you. Your 20s are for building the foundation. So build it well. Peace.